Police say Stephen Paddock supposedly had no history of violence, but one witness says he had a habit of being verbally abusive to his girlfriend, Mary Lou Danley. It happened a lot. That was according to his regular Starbucks barista. She says Paddock was often mean and rude to his girlfriend in front of strangers. She told the LA Times she remembers Paddock once snapping at Danley, staring down at her with a glare and saying, quote, "You don't need my casino card for this. I'm paying for your drink, just like I'm paying for you." Robi Ludwig is a psychotherapist and author of Till Death Do Us Part. Welcome.
Thank you.
So I think for a lot of people out there, you know, Mary Lou Danley's attorney came out and said she had absolutely no idea that this was about to happen. She actually described this shooter as a kind, caring, and quiet man. A lot of people find that hard to believe.
Right. And also I think it's important to know that family members, sometimes wives and girlfriends, are not reliable reporters for whatever reason. Sometimes they are desensitized to some of the realities or distort realities. So even though we like to go to family as a reliable indication of who a killer is, sometimes we can't get that from family members. And maybe that's what's going on here, because I would probably be more inclined to believe the Starbucks barista rather than the girlfriend, because she might have just dismissed a lot of the violent behavior.
It's interesting, too, because when neighbors are interviewed, they said Danley was extremely affectionate. She gave hugs to her neighbors. But the shooter, they would wave at him and he wouldn't wave back. He was totally antisocial.
Yeah, you know, I wonder if in some way this man was paranoid and we just don't have enough information yet, did not trust people. There are certain studies that show a connection between abusers and mass murderers. And of course, it's not a causation, but it may be the psychological training ground to then take out one's grievances or one's anger or one's control issue, transfer it from a partner to the public at large. And so it is an interesting factor that doesn't often get looked at enough.
Here's the other thing. So I don't know what the FBI found, because we don't know all the information that they got from this woman, right? She might have said to them, like, I knew he had all these weapons, but I didn't know he was going to use them in this way, right? So, but is it possible in such a relationship that she wouldn't realize they had all these guns? Or
It's hard to imagine. It's really hard to imagine that this girlfriend did not know what was going on. Is it possible? It is possible. We really need to find out more about her. But if you have an abusive, controlling, paranoid partner who even views a girlfriend as someone possibly suspicious, it is possible that this information would not be shared. But of course, we need more information, because at this point, it's just a lot of guessing because we don't have a lot of the facts.
I know, they just lived such a strange lifestyle. They moved around a lot, you know, at a moment's notice, according to neighbors. Like one day they were there, the next day they were gone, right? And then she goes to the Philippines for this vacation. He bought her the ticket. He sent her $100,000. She thought he was breaking up with him. Like, it's just very strange.
It's an anomaly on so many levels, from the age of this killer to not knowing the motive. He seemed to have money. We just really don't have enough information. It is interesting that his father had a history of violence and suicidal tendencies at the very least, and was considered psychopathic and was wanted. So we don't know what impact that had on this killer, whether he identified with his father in some way. We will find out more information, which will hopefully present a clearer picture that we could learn from moving forward. That's why it's so interesting to find out what the potential motive is or was, and to look for signs that we may have missed. So moving into the future, we can identify people who are potentially dangerous.
Robi Ludwig, thanks for your insight. I appreciate it.
Thank you.